Hey there. Are you excited about the Akashic Records and not really sure what it takes to be successful or competent as a reader, whether it's for yourself or for anyone else? Well, if that's you, you're in the right place. I'm going to invite you to keep watching. So, if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Holly Hawkins, and I'm an international Akashic Record reader and teacher. And I absolutely love and adore the Akashic Records as a tool for each and every one of us to find our way through the ups and downs of life and feel like we have success in our sights at all times, even with the ups and downs. So currently, I'm in my 16th year professionally working with the Akashic Records. I've facilitated thousands of sessions and taught many people around the world to access and work with the Akashic Records, whether it's for themselves or whether they're using it professionally. And after all this time, there are some things that I've noticed that actually hold people back from the success that they would like to see in working with the Akashic Records. And I don't want to see that, because when people hold themselves back, then their visions are going to just fall to the wayside. Their desires are going to be unfulfilled. And I do want to see people truly going for what they wish and experience what they desire in this lifetime. When someone has a dream and then they're not sure how they're going to fulfill it, then oftentimes they stop, right? Have you had that experience where it's like, oh, I have this dream, but I don't know how to get there? And we don't even, maybe not even stop. We don't know where to begin. And what often comes up, and what I've noticed with people relative to the Akashic Records, is they start to doubt themselves. And then they get stuck, and then they may not ever continue, fulfill, and pursue what is calling to them. Because I feel that we often get called to the Akashic Records. I know I did. It was something I heard about for many years, and I thought it sounded cool, but I wasn't that drawn to it. And then suddenly, a few years went by, and lights, bells, whistles, all the things went off, and I knew it was my time to start exploring. And you may have had that similar kind of experience. And because I don't want that stop or that hesitation to happen for you, this, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it as podcast, this video is the first of a 2-part offering for all of you who have a wish, dream, desire to become an absolutely phenomenal Akashic record reader. Again, whether it's for yourself or for others, everything I'm sharing applies to both. And I'm breaking it down into 2 videos so that I can give myself time to explain each part I want to share with you and not just zip right through them without any explanation. I've chosen 10 of the top things. Of course, I have a list that's longer than this, but if you start working with and applying these top 10 things, it will really support you in becoming a confident, outstanding Akashic record reader, embodying what you need to dive deep and uncover what's ready to be released, and to confidently go forward toward the life that you've been dreaming about. Now, this first video, will tap into the top 5 things that you can do to cultivate your confidence to read the Akashic Records. And because I'm giving them like 5 and then 5, doesn't mean that the first 5 are more important than the last 5, or even these 5 in order aren't necessarily the most important. Some of them may really spark your curiosity or inspire you in one way or another. I'm just sharing 5 things over 2 different videos, and you decide what feels most important to you, whether it's all of them or just a select few. And now, in this first video, before I begin, I'd like to get us all on the same page. First of all, I want to stress that I personally do not believe that there is a best or an ideal way to access the Akashic Records. I get asked that all the time. Well, what's the best way? My shortcut answer is the best way that works for you. Because there are tons of ways to access the Akashic Records, some of them conscious, some of them unconscious. And I personally don't play favorites. I really don't. I don't play favorites with the way I teach and use in my own client sessions. As I said, choose what works for you and that you feel confident with. Now, as I've already said, everything that I'm sharing in these 2 podcast videos is applicable to anyone using the Akashic Records, no matter how you get in there. Okay. So I want you to feel confident that what's happening in this space will apply to you no matter what. Now, the other thing that I want to have us get on the same page with is that I deeply lean into the foundational energy of the Akashic Field and the awareness and consciousness that flows through everything in my work with the Akashic Records. And so let's talk about what these foundational energies are, because they're really important, and we experience these in our human life, but we experience some other things that we want to leave aside. We'll talk about that in a minute. So the summary energy, if you will, of the Akashic Records is unconditional love. And sometimes unconditional love can be a little bit of a slippery concept or idea. Many of us strive for it. We think it's a great idea, but it can be a little bit elusive. So let's talk about the energy of unconditional love and some of the ways that it shows up beyond just the sense of love. It shows up as understanding, kindness, compassion, patience, gentleness. These are energies and experiences that all of us crave. We all desire it. And all of our work in the Akashic Records sits on this foundation, whether you're in your own or somebody else's records, even in somebody's business's records. We always operate in this field of unconditional love and the ways it shows up with kindness, generosity, compassion, patience, all of that. And so what this also means is that some of the energies that we might experience in our everyday human life are literally, I think of them as suspended when we're working in the Akashic Records. And what are those energies? Judgment, criticism, fault-finding, impatience, feeling less than. I could go on, but you get the idea. And those we're going to let park at the door, so to speak, when we're exploring in our Akashic Records. We're going to remember what this field of unconditional love is and that we're steeped in it, we're engaged with it, and we're going to let those other energies that we experience so strongly in our human life, the judgment, criticism, fault-finding, those energies, we're just going to let them go while we're in there. And why this is important and why I bring this up directly related to this series is that as you're growing into becoming an outstanding Akashic Record reader, it's best to refrain from judgment, criticism, fault-finding, and all those difficult energies towards yourself. Let's let those pause towards yourself. Challenge yourself to extend the energies of the Akashic Field to you. Extend that patience, extend that kindness, generosity, compassion, and understanding to yourself as you're growing and learning and becoming more in the Akashic Records and working with your team of guides. So with all that being said, and now we have that great foundation, let's dive into the first 5 of the 10 things that you can do to become a phenomenal Akashic Record reader. So here we go. Number 1, practice. Now bear with me on this. You might be shouting at your computer screen or your phone as you listen to this episode, but just hear me out here for a second. There's a good reason why I'm sharing this idea of practice. The truth is, and this comes a lot from my experience in teaching hundreds of people how to read their own records, most people want to bypass the practice stage. They want to come in not knowing anything and then immediately be experts. And if you think back on everything you've done in your life, from the time you were learning to sit up, crawl, walk, feed yourself, talk, you get to school and you're learning to read and do math and play sports and music and all the things, everything you did required practice. Everything. You may not have thought about it as practice as you're learning to crawl, but that's what you're doing. When you're learning to walk, that's what you're doing. When you're learning to eat, that's what you're doing. You're practicing. And if we use that idea of learning to eat, can be kind of messy, right? If you've been around young children who are learning to eat, it's kind of messy, and yet they're practicing. They're learning, and they keep trying, right? And they keep getting better, so they become adults and they know how to eat properly. So I know and I understand that you want to learn to read the Akashic Records. You feel the promise of it. You're excited to get the results. You want the change. I get it that you want to be amazing right out the gate. I love that vision. That's how I felt too when I first learned that, it's so filled with passion and possibility. And that energy, that desire, that vision, passion, and determination will keep your momentum going. And it really is a stage that I know this practice sometimes frustrates people because it feels like it's slowing them down. But I'm going to be so bold as to say that this is a stage that actually can make or break people's success. I've seen it over and over again with people. So before I go on with this word practice, I know that sometimes people have a charge on the word practice just from their own life experience. So if you hate the word practice and you say, I don't want to practice learning to get better at the Akashic Records just because I hate that word, it activates me, let's replace it with something that's easier for you to hear. You like the energy of the word better. So I looked it up in the online thesaurus. And so here are some great alternatives. Hone. You want to hone your skills. You could replace, I'm going to practice getting better at the Akashic Records. I'm honing my Akashic Records skill. Or you're developing your skills. You're refining them, you're cultivating them, or you're learning. We don't want to have the word practice create a lot of resistance for ourselves. So shift up a word if you need to. But I also guarantee you, no matter what word you use, if you're practicing, if you're cultivating, if you're developing or refining your skills, it actually is not slowing you down at all. It's getting you perfectly aligned to create a practice that breeds success for you and real change for your clients. After all, isn't that why you felt called to learn this? Didn't you want to help yourself and others? And so you want to know that what you're doing is successful and practice helps get you there. So let's talk about what are the benefits of practicing. And I'm going to give you a couple of quick tips for it also. So some of the top benefits you can imagine of in practicing what this skill is that you're learning is that when you practice doing Akashic Records sessions, especially for yourself, you are opening yourself to a variety of experiences that will bring about a flex and strengthening, if you will, of what I call your Akashic muscles. Each new experience will push you a little bit further, help you go a little bit deeper. It's going to widen your wealth of knowledge through that experience that you get and you cultivate through the practice. The other thing that I have seen in myself over the years and many, many of my students is that this practice, there's nothing like it to build your confidence. Because especially if you're doing readings for other people, that interface where you first start doing that can feel a little bit scary because you want to do a good job for somebody, right? So you want to go into this with confidence. Now, I've been asked many times how you build that sense of confidence in the Akashic Records. And honestly, my simple answer to that is you've got to spend more time in the Akashic Records. get to know them better, get to know the guides in there. And you get to know the space. You get to trust the space. You go beyond what you already know. And the more you do it, the more confident you are. So here are a couple recommendations on what I believe are some of the best ways to practice, especially in the early stages. When you're reading for others, don't go all in on long sessions. My suggestion is start with 20 to 30 minutes max when you're first starting out. It doesn't matter if they have more questions. People are always going to have more questions, right? And in that 20 to 30 minute session, my suggestion is to ask the person who's coming to the reading for you to cultivate one question. Have them bring just one question. So these are short, one question readings, and it will give you the right amount of time to, again, build your Akashic muscles, build your confidence, and it's like a smaller bite. You're not going to get tired or start feeling like it's hard. They're going to be alive and ready. And again, everyone always has more questions. That's part of the human mind. So it's okay if you tell people, I'm going to do this for 20 minutes or I'm going to do this for 30 minutes. Bring one question to the reading, address that question in the reading, and then close the records and get out. And it doesn't need to drag on anymore. They can always come back for another reading. You can offer that to them, or they can pay you for it when you're ready if you're doing it for other people. Now, when you're reading for yourself, my suggestion is to build your confidence through your practice is start with smaller, more digestible questions. In the early stages, if you can keep your questions more to the present tense, such as, what can I do today? Or what can I do this week? That will keep me aligned with my highest potential. You're just looking for a small suggestion, a small to-do thing that you know is going to take you in the direction of your highest potential. Now, this might sound like a really big question because I added in this highest potential idea, but don't worry about that. You actually don't need to know what the specifics are cognitively of what your highest potential is. That energy is within your Akashic Records. So you can ask your guides in there, as I said before, what is something I could do today, tomorrow, this week, short time period that will keep me aligned with my highest potential, and receive that. You don't need to, in the very beginning, I don't suggest going in with some of your biggest, most difficult, challenging life experiences as you are getting used to working in the space. Of course, over time, you're going to get into that. You'll get into the harder things, but let yourself do these gentle ones where you can be more aligned with success more easily. Okay, my second suggestion goes actually hand in hand with practice, and it's patience. 2 P's, practice and patience. And again, this might surprise you. However, it's really important to be patient as you're learning this new skill. It is a skill at utilizing the sacred space of the Akasha to guide your own life as well as the lives of your clients. And again, I understand that you want to get going, and it's hard to feel patient as you're learning to be comfortable and confident with this sacred tool. And I'm going to speak about patience here in a couple of different ways, but both are about energy, okay? Number one, patience. I view patience as a form of kindness. When someone is patient with you, or you're patient with another person, greater ease and energetic openness is present. Okay? And people move more easily. They discover new ways to accomplish their goal in this energetic expansiveness of patience. Patience is also, the second thing, is a very expansive energy field, and it encourages calmness. It encourages positivity. And these are an energy signature where we can thrive. When we're learning and experiencing anything new, we literally are expanding our energies, our awareness, our understanding, our capacity, and extending patience to ourselves during this time creates ease in our learning curve. Now, just by a way of contrast with patience, the contrast to this are judgment. Again, harshness and criticism. Now, you may have had experience with other people being very judgmental or harsh or critical with you. Or, it could have been in your family situation. It could be with friends. It could be with siblings. It could be with teachers. Most of us understand when we're getting judged or there's harshness or criticism, we're not feeling like we're being supported in thriving or in our growth, right? It's not an expansive time. It's more of a contracting time when we're experiencing that. Now, this also applies when we are self-critical and when we are self-judgmental. It truly is not supportive or encouraging of an energy field to expand and grow into, particularly when you're learning something new. So, what's a good way to cultivate patience? An easy way to do this with yourself as you're learning and going deeper with the Akashic Records is, I feel, to take note of the small things. Celebrate the little wins. Celebrate what's right instead of what's wrong. Celebrate any tiny little bit of progress instead of where you're not seeing it happen fast enough. Now, if you're like me, you might journal or write while you're in your Akashic Records. And if you do that, you have something you can actually go back to. You can go back and review some of your time in the records, and you can actually start to observe your growth and change and the way you're starting to feel more confident in your records as you have something to go back to. So celebrate any progress that you're making. Celebrate all of it, not just the outcomes. If you opened your Akashic Records today, celebrate that. If you reached out to do some practice sessions with people, celebrate that. Celebrate all of it, and it will absolutely support your patience. Okay? Now, number 3, understand the deeper why of the Akashic Records. Now, I may touch on to this again in the next episode because there's a lot to this, but I'm going to start with this today. So in our human lives, we are very focused on information and data, right? And we have a lot of it in our world today. And it's even more true now than ever because we have so much information that we can access via the internet. And many of us go down all kinds of rabbit holes seeking more information and more data. Now, so we often think in our human life that I just need more information and then I'm going to understand, or that will put me off in the right direction. And we tend to move that over, that same idea about information, into the Akashic Records. A lot of people come thinking that they have this foundational belief that if I just have the right piece of information, the right reason, the right understanding at a cognitive level, then I'm going to be fine. It's going to all make sense. The information is going to set all this to right. And as you hear this, the thrust of this is information-based. Yet, we are energetic beings. We are so much more than information, so much more than data. And when we're seeking a real and lasting change in our life, information is not the solution. It's not the way that things change appreciably in our lives. When we create real, lasting, sustainable change, we might use information to take us on a new journey, but it actually wasn't the information itself that created the foundational change. It was us implementing or acting with that new information And it's our actions that create this new energetic vibration in our field. And we could say, I've shifted, I've changed, I've released, I've healed, I've gotten clear, whatever it might be. So the information itself might have catalyzed change, but the change happens within us on this energetic level. And that is what we're doing in the Akashic record. Yes, we might find out information, say, for about an ancestral pattern or a past life. We might find out about aspects of our current life that are influencing us right now. But the more significant aspect of being in the Akashic records is the energetic change that comes about from interacting in the sacred space. So please know that you're not just going in there seeking this repository of information. We're not only information seeking, but the Akashic records are this beautiful sacred space where we can line up more with our soul level truth, more easily embody it, and live from that place. Okay? So, number 4. One of the really important things here as you're learning is understanding and getting comfortable with how to receive and how you receive the guidance and the information and the energies from the Akash and your guides. So over the years, I've seen and heard many, many people feel that I'm just not getting anything while I'm in the records. And when I chat with them about it, what I realize is that they move into it with an assumption on what that experience of receiving the energy, the information, and the guidance from the records will look like. To be honest, most people think they're gonna hear a voice in their ear like we hear things in our everyday life, like you're listening to my voice right now. They expect that voice to sound definitely like another person, not like themselves, somebody who they don't know. And that perhaps a whole speech will come forward from this voice, like a story. And honestly, this is not often the case. It definitely happens, but not as often as you think. The other thing that people might expect to see is that they might expect like wonderful visions. I'm going to see this. I'm going to see visions. I'm going to see colors. I'm going to see images. People expect to see something that looks like a video is playing behind their closed eyes. And this also is not often the case. Yes, of course, as I've said, there are definitely people who hear a voice that might be different than a voice that they hear in their everyday life. And some are visual, so they might see something behind their closed eyes. But if that is the only thing that we're expecting to receive when we're in the Akashic records, we might be missing out on what is actually there for us. And then that's when we get into the place of, I'm not receiving anything. So people receive the energy and the information in a whole variety of ways in the Akashic records. In my experience over the years, most people have a different experience, and that is one of feeling that the information or guidance is actually coming from within them. It's like they have an inner knowingness that's not sparked by any sensory experience like a vision or an auditory stimulation. It's just there. It's in their awareness. They might miss it because it feels so natural. It feels easy. It might even just feel like them already. And this is especially true when you're in your own Akashic records. Also, when we consider the power of energetic changes that are available to us in the Akashic records, as I've already mentioned, we also don't need a lot of information always to make a change. Sometimes we get a lot of information, excuse me, but sometimes it takes very little that we can receive for us to get it, understand, and create the change. It could be a single word. It could be a single idea of like an apple, for example. It could be a physical sensation in your body. It could even be a memory. And those smaller things can be enough to spark or catalyze something that aligns us with what we need in the moment. And we say, I got it. I don't need anything more. And it could be based on what we've gone into the records for. So being open to receiving in a whole variety of ways, not just what you might imagine it would be like, will help your success in the Akashic Records. And I'm going to share more about the receiving in my next episode to take this a little bit deeper. Okay. Now, number 5, my final suggestion for this first in the series of 2 is to make sure you're using the Akashic Records for yourself. And this is especially true if you're working towards offering sessions for other people, or even if you're experienced and you've been doing a lot of offering to other people. I highly suggest that you use your own Akashic Records to support your own life, your own journey, your own healing. Use the Akashic Records to support you in your business growth, your next steps. Use it to align with the next step in any area of your life. It could be your health. It could be your sense of well-being. It could be whether or not you want to take a job or make a move. All of that. You flourish more as a reader for other people when you're actively working in the Akashic Records for yourself. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of this particular suggestion? First of all, you're helping yourself. You're growing, you're shifting, you're changing and aligning to your best life. There's no downside to that. You are also growing in your trust of the space of the Akash. And we're going to talk more about trust next time. But the more you trust the Akash and that space, that for yourself, it's going to ripple out into your sessions with others. And as I've mentioned before, confidence, as you work with yourself in your own Akashic Records, you're growing in your confidence. And that confidence, again, you could say, well, I'm confident in my own records, but you just have a general sense of confidence of what the Akashic Records could do for anybody. And what goes hand in hand with that is you're, in a sense, becoming a walking testimonial for your work. You can say, I've done this work. Not that you need to share all your personal sessions in there, but I've done this work and I have confidence that this works. You'll cultivate your own personal stories of success and what's possible. And people love to hear what's possible from real life people. I know I can speak with 1,000% confidence that the Akashic Records have completely transformed my life in every single way, in positive ways. And whether or not I'm telling personal stories about it, I hold that confidence and I hold that potential for every person I work with in the records, whether they're a brand new client or a long-standing one who I've been working with for years. So, okay, these are my 5 initial suggestions that are here to support you in becoming a stellar, outstanding, phenomenal Akashic record reader. As I said, in my next episode, I'm going to move on to the next 5 tips that go even deeper for your time in the records and for yourself. So I'm curious right now, of these first 5, was there one that was your favorite? Did any of them surprise you, annoy you, whatever? I'd love to hear. Please drop that in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on any of the podcast channels. Now, before you go, I have a special invitation for all of you. Coming up soon is the 2nd annual Awakening Conference, and it's a weekend of master classes. So this amazing masterclass weekend is being facilitated by the hosts here on Awakening Airwaves and the Reiki Radio podcast. And during that weekend, you're invited to attend 9 online masterclasses that are here to support your path, deepen your understanding as a practitioner of the energetic arts. Now, during this live 3-day event, you're going to have the opportunity to learn from renowned experts in the fields of Reiki, Akashic Records, astrology, tarot and oracle, and other energetic arts. All the facilitators bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table and providing you with all kinds of valuable insights, techniques to enhance your practice and guide you. They're going to guide you through powerful exercises as well. So get ready to expand your knowledge, taking your process of awakening and your energy practice to the next level. And the link to find out more and to register is in the description below, whether you are listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or even just starting out on your journey, these master classes will provide you with valuable tools and insights to help deepen your connection, lift your frequency, and unlock more of your true potential. All of those are incredible things for us to be cultivating. Now, when you sign up, you'll notice there's also an option to register for the All Access Pass. And when you do, you'll be able to join all the live classes on the weekend of September 18th to 20th of this year. You'll also be able to access the recordings of each masterclass after the weekend of events has concluded. This is great for those of you who may have other commitments on the weekend and you really want to watch some, digest, and you don't have the time. Sign up for the All Access Pass and you won't miss out on any of it. And then as a bonus, if you do sign up for the All Access Pass, you're going to be able to access all the recordings from last year's event. So in total, you're going to have access to 18 masterclasses. That's pretty amazing. So if you'd like to find out more about that, the link is down below. And if you're curious about my offerings and my sessions, you can find all the links in this show description below as well. Thank you so much for being here. Much love to you all, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.